Welcome to today's video. They were once shining child stars, familiar faces on screen who brought joy and inspiration to millions. But one day, they suddenly disappeared. Without a trace, without explanation. Their stories were forgotten, and the mysteries surrounding their disappearances remain unsolved. Did Hollywood deliberately erase them from public memory? Or is there a darker truth still hidden? In today's video, we'll uncover the mysterious vanishings of black child stars and search for answers to the questions that have long gone unanswered. Let's dive in and uncover the truth. Matthew "Stymie" Beard. The lonely fate of a comedy icon. Matthew "Stymie" Beard was once a shining child star, bringing laughter and joy to millions of viewers during the Great Depression with the hit comedy series Our Gang. With his signature bowler hat and mischievous grin, he captivated audiences and became a cultural icon of his era. But Hollywood, the very industry that once celebrated him, never truly valued him. As he grew older, Beard faced the harsh reality that the spotlight had faded, and the entertainment world had no place for him anymore. As a black actor in a racially segregated industry, Beard was not only paid significantly less than his white co-stars, but also treated unfairly both on and off screen. His roles became fewer and fewer, and by the time he reached adulthood, Hollywood had completely turned its back on him. The offers stopped coming, and the opportunities disappeared. He struggled to make a living, desperately trying to find a way back into show business, but the doors had long since closed. Unable to sustain himself in an industry that had abandoned him, Beard spiraled into a dark cycle of poverty, depression, and drug addiction. The glory days of his youth were nothing but distant memories as he fell deeper into heroin use, searching for solace in fleeting highs. Though he later made attempts to recover and took on small acting roles, the magic of his past never returned. Hollywood saw him as a relic of another time. Someone to be remembered, but never embraced in the present. In 1981, Matthew Beard suffered a stroke on the staircase of his apartment. He remained undiscovered for hours. By the time his neighbors found him, he was lifeless, lying cold and alone. There were no headlines, no grand tributes. Hollywood remained silent, as if he had never existed. A man who had once brought so much joy to the world left it in solitude. Another forgotten tragedy in the history of the entertainment industry. Rodney Allen Rippey, used up and cast aside until nothing was left. In the 1970s, Rodney Allen Rippey was one of America's most beloved child stars. With his round cheeks, infectious smile, and undeniable charm, he became the face of Jack in the Box, starring in commercials that made the fast food chain millions. His fame skyrocketed, landing him appearances on talk shows, public events, and even acting roles. By the time he was just a young boy, Rodney had earned over $1 million, a staggering amount for a child. But the harsh truth was that this money was never truly his. Rodney's parents controlled every aspect of his finances, insisting that his earnings were being invested for his future. They promised that by the time he turned 18, he would have financial security, a safety net built from years of hard work. But when Rodney finally checked his bank account as an adult, he was stunned to find only $5,000 remaining. Over $1 million had vanished, not because of reckless spending on his part, but due to unclear and questionable investments made by his own parents. The bright future he had been promised had crumbled into nothing. As if that betrayal wasn't enough, Hollywood had also moved on. The phone calls stopped, the endorsement deals dried up, and the once adoring public quickly forgot about him. Just as suddenly as fame had arrived, it disappeared without a trace. One day, Rodney was a television sensation. The next, he was just another name in the industry's long list of forgotten child stars. There were no more auditions, no more casting directors eager to meet him. The same industry that had built him up now had no use for him. Instead of being on set, Rodney found himself standing in job application lines, hoping for a chance at a normal life. During one job interview, An employer glanced at his resume and did a double-take. "Aren't you the Jack-in-the-Box kid?" they asked. But instead of admiration, there was only pity. The realization stung. His childhood fame had become nothing more than a passing memory, an amusing anecdote rather than a career foundation. Despite everything, Rodney kept pushing forward. He ventured into business and even ran for mayor of Compton, hoping to carve out a meaningful path for himself. But no matter how far he moved beyond Hollywood, he could never shake the scars of his past. Rodney Allen Rippey had once been a shining star, only to be used up and discarded by an industry that cared more about profit than the people it exploited. His story wasn't just about fame, it was about the harsh reality of a system that chews up young talent and spits them out without a second thought. Danielle Spencer. A lifetime haunted by tragedy. In 1977, Danielle Spencer's life took a devastating turn after a horrific accident that would forever change her fate. At just 11 years old, she was riding in a car with her stepfather, unaware that the next moment would alter everything. The vehicle lost control, flipped multiple times, and crashed violently. Danielle was knocked unconscious on impact and fell into a coma for 3 weeks. When she finally woke up in the hospital, the first words she managed to whisper were, "Where's Dad?" But her mother's tearful silence told her everything she needed to know. Her stepfather had given his life to shield her, absorbing the full force of the crash to protect the little girl he loved. Yet, the nightmare didn't end there. The accident left Danielle with severe physical trauma, lingering injuries that would follow her for the rest of her life. Though she continued her acting career and became beloved for her role as Dee Thomas in What's Happening, the bright lights of Hollywood couldn't mask the pain she endured daily. Over the years, her old injuries resurfaced, worsening until they robbed her of her ability to walk, leaving her paralyzed for 8 long months. Once an energetic child who ran freely, she was now confined, unable to move, forced to watch life pass her by, without being able to fully participate. It was as if fate refused to let her escape the grasp of misfortune. As if fate hadn't already tested her enough, in 2018, Danielle was dealt yet another cruel blow: breast cancer. Once again, she found herself locked in a battle for survival, but this time against a relentless disease. The grueling treatments, the exhausting chemotherapy sessions, the never-ending pain, and the emotional toll, it all became a part of her daily existence. She had always been strong, always found a way to push through, but no one could endure endless suffering without feeling utterly drained. Danielle never asked to be a fighter. Life had simply given her no choice. From a promising child star to a symbol of resilience, Danielle Spencer's journey has been one of constant struggle. But the cost of her strength has been unimaginably high. If she had never stepped into Hollywood, would her life have been different? If that terrible accident had never happened, could she have avoided the relentless tragedies that followed? No one can ever truly know. What remains undeniable is that, no matter how cruel fate has been, Danielle has never allowed it to break her. Even when her body failed her, her spirit never did. Kevin Hooks, the talented child star, and the mysterious illness. Kevin Hooks was once considered one of Hollywood's brightest young talents, captivating audiences with his powerful performance in Sounder, 1972. With his natural charisma and undeniable acting ability, many believed he was destined for a long and illustrious career in front of the camera. But just as his star was beginning to rise, he suddenly disappeared from the spotlight without any explanation. No scandals, no public fallout, just an abrupt and puzzling absence that left fans and industry insiders alike wondering, what happened to Kevin Hooks? What few people knew at the time was that Hooks was silently battling a rare neurological disorder that caused his body to betray him in ways he could never predict. Some mornings, he would wake up and find that his arms were too weak to lift. Other days, his entire body would tremble uncontrollably, making even the simplest movements difficult. Determined to keep his condition a secret, Hooks pushed through, giving his best performances while struggling against an illness that refused to let him be. But eventually, no amount of willpower could hide the truth. His body was changing, and the camera would catch what he could no longer control. Rather than letting the world witness his decline, Hooks made a quiet and deliberate exit from acting. There were no press conferences, no emotional goodbyes, just a slow fading from public view. He retreated behind the scenes, choosing instead to direct, where he could still tell powerful stories without the physical toll of performing. Behind the camera, he found a renewed sense of purpose, shaping narratives without the burden of having to mask his pain. But despite his success as a director, his departure from acting remains one of Hollywood's great untold stories. Looking back, one can't help but wonder, if Hooks had never fallen ill, would he have become one of the greatest actors of his generation? Or was his true calling always meant to be behind the camera, influencing the industry in ways we never expected? While his career took an unexpected turn, Kevin Hooks remains a testament to resilience and reinvention. What do you think? Was his path changed by fate? Or did he find exactly where he was meant to be? Shavar Ross. The heartbreaking secret behind his innocent smile. Shavar Ross was once a familiar face on television, capturing audiences' hearts with his role as Dudley Ramsey in the beloved sitcom Different Strokes, 1880 to 1886. With his radiant smile and bright eyes, he quickly became one of the most cherished child stars of the 1980s. But behind the cheerful image was a painful secret he never dared to reveal. Beneath the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, Ross carried a haunting truth, one that would follow him for the rest of his life. Did anyone ever truly see the pain hidden behind the laughter on screen? One of the most shocking episodes of Different Strokes featured Dudley being abused by a child predator, a storyline that left America stunned. The episode was groundbreaking, sparking nationwide conversations about child exploitation. But there was a devastating reality that no one, neither the crew nor the audience, knew. Shavar Ross wasn't acting. The fear in his eyes, the panic in his voice, it wasn't just scripted, it was real. From a young age, Ross had been a victim of abuse at the hands of a family member. The trauma he relived in that scene wasn't fictional, it was a painful memory resurfacing. When filming ended, the crew applauded his performance, praising his raw emotion. But not a single person asked him if he was okay. It makes one wonder, how many other child actors have endured similar pain in silence, forced to hide their trauma behind a scripted smile? When Different Strokes ended, Shavar Ross slowly faded from Hollywood. No new roles, no industry support, just silence. Like so many former child stars, he was abandoned by an industry that only values the next rising face. But instead of succumbing to the same dark paths that claimed so many of his peers, drugs, self-destruction, scandal, Ross chose a different road. He walked away from the spotlight and turned to faith, seeking solace in religion to heal the wounds that Hollywood never acknowledged. He became a pastor, using his voice not for entertainment, but for spiritual guidance. But can faith truly erase the scars of his past? Or is it merely a refuge from the pain he never escaped? Even after leaving the entertainment world, Ross's traumatic memories continued to haunt him. There were nights when he stood alone in a quiet church, whispering prayers, searching for peace. Yet, deep down, one question lingered in his mind, refusing to fade. If God was always watching over me, why didn't he protect me when I was just a child? Perhaps this is a question not only Ross, but countless others who have suffered in silence still ask themselves every day. What do you think? Is there meaning behind such suffering? Or is it simply the cruel randomness of fate? Thank you for watching and joining us in revisiting the highs and lows of stars who once shined brightly. Hollywood is glamorous, but also ruthless. When the spotlight fades, too many talents are forgotten. They deserve to be remembered, not just for their roles, but for their resilience behind the scenes. Which story affected you the most? Is Hollywood to blame? Share your thoughts, like, subscribe, and stay with us as we uncover more untold stories behind the fame. See you in the next video.